we get to do so much of this work with schools, and it fills me up so much. And we know that the way that the school system, as it stands today, was built for middle-class humans whose like basic needs are met, who would respond to fear in a way that would be advantageous for the adults around them.
Like they would be compliant out of
Correct.
fear. Yeah.
Obedient. Hmm.
Hmm.
And obviously, with decades into this industrial system for school, we know now that for neurotypical humans who are, especially in that like neutral space where they're not high sensory seeking, they're not super sensory sensitive, whose nervous system reaction is generally fawn or freeze, it looks like compliance and obedience on the surface. And even the threat of you might get in trouble for this does breed compliance. And because they're largely able to filter the stimuli of the school day, they can often still learn throughout the day.
Yeah.
So the threat of if you're talking to your friend in class, you're going to get embarrassed because I'm going to call you out, or you're going to get in trouble and removed from the space. And because they're not overstimulated by the space or understimulated in the space, they can
Show
continue
up.
to engage and show up, led to those humans being successful in school. But what we know to be true is that kids who are sensory sensitive and get overwhelmed by the stimuli of the day without any supports throughout the day, and then you add in the screens that are happening in classrooms today, not even at home, just in classrooms, the way that screens are utilized and the drain that that has, the lack of movement that now happens, the decrease in recess, the increase in standardized testing. You add all those things in, and now we see more kids struggling in school. And then you take in our high movers, our high sensory seekers, and then they're struggling in school. And now we hear a lot of the like kids these days and their behavior.
Hmm.
I'm like, is it kids across the country in all different settings?
Just have shitty behavior now.
They've all come together and they're like, let's do this, y'all. If we rebel against the system will change. Or is it a broken system?
Yeah. Are we expecting things from kids that they aren't designed? They're not designed to be able to meet the expectations that are placed on them in a traditional school environment.
And I hear from adults, we have the privilege of working with all these teachers, and I hear from some teachers things like, yeah, well, I mean, I figured it out and I have ADHD and anxiety and these, now they're listing their things. And look at, I made it through school and now I'm here and I'm a teacher, I'm a teacher's aide or whatever. And they don't connect that they're actually not thriving.
Hmm. Totally.
I'm in this place where I'm like, how do I help you understand that the way that you're living actually doesn't have to be the way that you live?
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be the way that kids live, and it shouldn't be the way that kids live.
Correct. And I think it starts with self-awareness of what is annoying you, what does drive you nuts, like as a teacher, as a human. We recently have a friend who she's a high sensory seeking human, and she was having a hard time having compassion for her sensory sensitive husband and child. Where for her, it's just like, yeah, sometimes you got to power through. Like, I recognize that a big family hang isn't your favorite thing, or wearing these clothes aren't your favorite, or everybody hanging and talking at the dinner table isn't your favorite. And this is a part of being a human on planet Earth, and you kind of just got to power through. And then she had this moment where she learned that not everyone in the world hates the sound of Velcro and wants to throw up when they hear it. And it was for her the moment where she realized, oh, this is my experience of the world. This is something that drives me nuts. And there are things that are the Velcro experience for them that are not that way for me. But that self-awareness of, oh, the sound of Velcro drives me nuts, and then learning that wasn't just universally true for all humans was the inroad for her.
Yeah, totally.
And then I hear this in classrooms where like one teacher's like, oh my gosh, when kids just cannot stop moving and they're twisting in their seats and they're getting up and they're going to grab a thing and they're coming back to their seat and they can't stop moving, drives me bonkers. And then another teacher is like, oh yeah, it doesn't bother me if they're moving. It drives me nuts when they keep turning to their friend and I can see them tapping their foot under the table or they're trying to get their friend's attention and they're just so attention seeking and they already had time to connect with their friend, but they can't stop and won't stop. And the other teacher's like, oh yeah, that doesn't bother me. It's the movement thing. Right. And so it starts with, I think, us recognizing and coming to terms with the way that we experience the world isn't just universally true for all people. That's our experience of the world.
Correct.
I think that's news for a lot of people. I think
Yeah.
people are just like, these are just inherently annoying behaviors or annoying things without the understanding that, oh no, this is annoying to me
Yeah,
for
because
a
of
reason.
how my nervous system filters it or my social
What I
programming.
learned
I
as a
think
kid.
about like,
Yeah.
yeah, when I think about adults who are like, I dealt with that. Like I have ADHD and I have anxiety and I was able to sit still in class or I was able to do da 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 da. You know, part of this is understanding that at some point somebody has to break the cycle of asking humans to suppress their needs. And it's hard if you were a human who was asked or forced to suppress your needs to then turn around and have compassion when you have kids who are expressing needs and there was never a space for you as a kid to express and have those needs met. So there's a part of you that's going to come up that's like, no, I had the same diagnosis and I sat still and you're going to do the same thing.
Hmm. Exactly.
But then we have more adults who are not thriving. We're raising another generation of children who don't know what to do with their needs, to recognize them, to meet them. And it just builds on itself.
Correct. I think the work that we get to do as schools feels so pivotal because there's this opportunity to teach thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of kids self-awareness and how their brain and body works and what they need to thrive in school, rather
Yes.
than saying, how do we reach hundreds of millions of homes separately? We have the opportunity to do this in schools. But what it requires is that the adults teaching them do this work first. That they say, oh, the way that I experience the world isn't universally true. It is my truth. And so that kid has their truth too. The way that they experience the world is the way that they experience the world that is true for
For
them.
them.
And I get to figure out what tools they need to thrive and teach them that so that they know someday when they're sitting at the DMV, oh, I'm a sensory seeking human. I'm going to need to move. I'm not going to sit in this chair. I'm going to stand off to the side so I can like stand and kind of wobble. You know, the sway you do when you have a baby in your arms, but then you don't have a baby in your arms anymore. That sway, because that's going to get me enough movement.
So you can
Or
get through your 3-hour wait at the DMV.
correct.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to bring headphones and I'm going to listen to something because it's so loud and obnoxious in here and I'm a sensory sensitive human and it's overwhelming. Here's what I'm going to do. The goal isn't that they don't know how to be bored at the DMV. The goal is that they learn how their brain and bodies work so that they can thrive in any situation, so that they know what do I need to thrive here
It's the
and they
same
can
for
access
me
it.
as when we talk about hard emotions. Like the goal isn't to make the hard emotions go away, right? It's for them to
Mm-hmm.
know how to navigate them. Kids will grow up and be bored at the DMV. They will grow up and have an environment that's highly stimulating that they have to be in. They will experience all of these things. And we can either ask them to suppress, and it can be very maladaptive and stressful for their nervous system and lead to poorer outcomes. Or we can teach them how to meet the needs in a way that works for the classroom environment or works for the home environment.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we're looking at schools who are trying to increase test scores or academic success for kids, it's so hard for me to wrap my brain around admin or teachers not connecting that to a child's well being. that if a child is emotionally well and regulated from a sensory perspective, they can access the academics.
Totally. And like we believe that for some sensory needs like sleep and food.
Mhm.
We believe that,
Yes.
right? But
Yeah.
for some of the other of the 9 senses, we view them as extraneous or irrelevant to learning.
Yeah, or even those connection needs. Like I had a 4th grader this past fall that I was in the classroom observing, and he had come from lunch, and basically a conflict had happened and he was mad. And he came back into the classroom and they were getting ready for math, and he just went right over. They have like a corner that's kind of this little nook, really was designed for sensory sensitive kids to take a break, but he went right into there. And the teacher started teaching math, didn't make him come back to his seat, but there was no emotion processing or conflict resolution. And so he would have missed math that day. He would have not had access to the academics. And I went over and I sat next to him and just said, like, hey, bud, I don't know what happened, but I noticed that you're over here. If you want to talk about it, I'm here to chat, or we can just sit here for a minute until you're ready to go back to math. He needed to feel seen for a minute. And then I acknowledged like his facial expressions, something about how like I thought he kind of looked sad. And he was like, no. And then he told me what had happened at lunch. And it ended up that he was mad at somebody.
Okay.
He was like, I'm not sad, I'm mad. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, for sure. I have had a lot of people who have told me they were going to do something and then they didn't do it. And I feel mad about that too. That makes sense. I'm here if you want to chat about it, or if you just want to take a little time. Something that's really cool about our feelings is that you'll feel mad for a little bit, and then your body will start to feel something else and you won't feel mad anymore. When your body stops feeling mad and you're ready, you can head on over and jump into math. And we sat there for about 90 more seconds in silence before he went over and went back to math. It was less than 5 minutes of time, but it would have required the teacher to get the kids started in math and then pause and pop over to him and do a little emotion coaching, really just help him feel seen so that then he could access the academics. If we don't see the need for regulation from a sensory perspective and a connection and emotional perspective, we are not going to see an increase in test scores in academics.
Absolutely. They're very much interconnected.
Yeah. And I don't understand what the barrier is to people seeing that.
I don't either, but also it's like the air we breathe, you and I, so it
Sure.
is very difficult to
I
understand
guess I
how.
would like, here's what I want.
Okay, tell me.
I would like to take this first 15 minutes and make it a clip and put it on YouTube. And I would like people who see this differently and see how you could increase academics without meeting sensory and emotional needs to comment below, because I want to learn more. Like, genuinely have a discussion with you because I want to learn more about your perspective. I'm having a hard time understanding it. So if people can comment below and share more, especially if you're in the education system, if you're a teacher or you're in administration, I want to learn from you of what you think could be successful in increasing academics and test scores that's not related to meeting sensory needs or emotional regulation needs.